The Vex had dominated the galaxy for millennia. Evolved from apex predators on their harsh homeworld, they possessed natural armor, razor-sharp claws, and heightened senses that made them unparalleled hunters. Their society revolved around the glory of the hunt, with status determined by one's prowess in tracking and killing challenging prey. As they developed spacefaring technology, the Vex expanded their hunting grounds to other worlds, establishing themselves as the undisputed masters of combat across known space. Admiral Krell stood on the command deck of the flagship Apex, his scaled hide bearing the ceremonial scars of 1,000 successful hunts. The massive view screen displayed their newest quarry, a small blue-green planet on the outer rim of the galaxy. "Another primitive world to add to our collection," said Commander Tark, Krell's second-in-command. "Our scouts report the dominant species shows promise. They call themselves humans." Krell's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. "Excellent. The Emperor grows bored with easy conquests. These humans will provide sport, at least for a time." The scouting reports have been intriguing. Humans lacked natural weapons, possessed no armor, and their physical attributes were unimpressive. Yet they had spread across their planet with remarkable speed, building vast cities and developing technology at a pace that caught the Vex's attention. It wasn't their physical capabilities that made them interesting prey, it was their adaptability. The invasion began as all Vex hunts did, with a display of overwhelming force. They destroyed orbital satellites, disabled power grids, and landed warriors in major cities. The humans would understand their place in the galactic hierarchy as trophies for the greatest hunters in existence. But something unexpected happened. On the third day of the invasion, a Vex hunting party in a region called Montana failed to report back. Then another group went silent in Siberia. Within a week, the Vex had lost contact with a dozen elite hunting teams. On the command deck, Krell received the disturbing reports with growing agitation. "Impossible," he snarled. "These humans are prey. They cannot defeat Vex hunters." "The survivors report unusual tactics," Tarp explained. "The humans don't fight like other species. They don't retreat to defensive positions. They scatter, then regroup where least expected. They use the environment against us." Krell dispatched his most decorated hunter, General Vask, to personally lead a force of 500 warriors into a region called Amazon, where human resistance was strongest. 3 days later, a single escape pod returned to the Apex. The lone survivor, bloodied and trembling, described their defeat. "They watched us, learned our patterns. Then they separated us, picked us off one by one. They didn't fight fair." "Fair?" Krell roared. "War isn't about fairness." "That's what they understood that we didn't," the survivor whispered. "To them, this isn't a hunt, it's survival." As weeks passed, the situation deteriorated. Humans had begun capturing Vex technology and turning it against them. They'd formed global alliances, sharing information and resources. Most concerning of all, they seemed to be studying the Vex, learning their weaknesses with frightening efficiency. Commander Tark analyzed the mounting data. Their physical inferiority forced them to develop differently. They don't rely on natural weapons or abilities. They create tools for every situation. When they encounter a problem, they engineer a solution. A human transmission was intercepted and played on the command deck. A grizzled human military leader addressed his forces. "Remember, the Vex evolved as predators. They're used to being the hunters, not the hunted. That's their weakness. They expect prey to behave like prey. We won't." Krell ordered a tactical retreat to regroup, something unprecedented in Vex military history. As their ships pulled back to higher orbit, the humans didn't celebrate, they prepared. They built defenses, manufactured weapons based on salvaged Vex technology, and trained. "They're not like any species we've encountered," Tark observed. "Most prey species evolved running from predators. Humans evolved hunting other predators and competing with them. They understand predatory thinking because they're predators themselves." 6 months after the initial invasion, the Vex launched a final desperate assault. This time, the humans were ready. They had reverse-engineered Vex shielding technology. They had developed weapons that could penetrate Vex natural armor. Most importantly, they had studied Vex psychology and knew exactly how to counter their tactics. The battle lasted 3 days. When it ended, Admiral Krell found himself in an unthinkable position, standing before the human military council as a defeated commander. An older human with gray hair addressed him. Your species has ruled the galaxy through fear and violence. You saw all other life as either competition or prey. That was your mistake with us. Krell snarled. What makes you different? You're soft, weak. No, the human replied calmly. We're versatile. On our world, we weren't always the strongest or fastest, so we learned to be the smartest. We became tool makers, problem solvers. When we needed to be hunters, we hunted. When we needed to flee, we fled. We adapted. As the Vex fleet departed Earth, their empire already beginning to fracture with news of their defeat, Krell stood silently on his command deck. For the first time in his long life, he understood true fear, not for himself, but for his species. The galaxy's fiercest hunters had ruled through strength and terror, but they had finally encountered something more dangerous, a species that had evolved not just to hunt, but to survive at any cost. The humans were coming to the stars now, and the age of the Vex was over. The predators had become the prey.